Okay. Yay. Hi to everyone. I saw Mr. Chris in there earlier. Jordan. So there's no like terrible lag or anything like that. Hi, mate. Oh, hello to everyone. I'm short of breath because I am extremely nervous. Henry, if you look up my name on Amazon, Daniel Nepveux, you can find it. Otherwise, click on the links that I provided at the bottom of the announcement. I apologize for any lag in the chat or my voice. I'm kind of out in I'm kind of out in the country. And first off, I want to say hi to everybody and thank you so much for the awesome reception and support to the book. Mr. Chris sent me a screenshot showing that it's #1 on mental health books for new releases, and I'm so excited about that, and that is solely because of you guys and how amazing and awesome you are. Okay, no lag. And okay, so would you guys like me to wait for a few more people, or would you like me to go ahead and start this off by reading a poem? And then I have a second question once you answer that. Thank you, Healing Heart, and all of you. It's really cool to actually meet. Okay, Aaron says, do a poem, please. And so does Curl Girl. And okay, so from what I'm seeing, a poem, please. Okay, so my second question is, I tried to find an even balance of happy poem, not happy, but more heartwarming poems and more gritty poems. Would you like a gritty poem first or a heartwarming poem first? Thank you, Susan Beckman. It's my live, do as I please. Thank you. Okay. Well, then to start off, I think I will do a more heartwarming poem. And this one is titled For You. And I wrote this to a future person. This particular poem, I wrote this to someone that I hope would come into my life. And so it is titled For You. And here we go. To see you one more time is all I wish of this. The whole thing, every second, anything to feel your kiss. Were we made to glimpse it all, or just to see the infinite? Would it be too beautiful, too true and definite? For tonight, I'll sit with you, that you may hear my song, and may you sleep as quick as my heart does long for you. Yeah, that was, I was lonely, and the poem was written to someone that I hope I would meet in the future. And so I tried to capture what I was feeling, which was an overwhelming sense of yearning for a puzzle piece that was missing from my own puzzle. Someone to share this life with. And that's what that poem was too. So one day I'll be able to actually give this to the person and say, I wrote this for you like a year ago before I knew you, but I promised it was written for you. Wow, that is super corny. I don't care. I don't care. When it comes to love, I love corny. I love being stupid with love, because it is the most amazing experience I think you can have in life. And I believe I will have that. Okay. Thank you for everyone listening, and thank you for your kind words about it. Pretty Ink at 707, corny but real. Thank you. It is super corny. But it's meant to mean something, and I hope it means something to someone someday. Okay. This next one is also a little heartwarming. It's about determination and accepting the trials you have in life instead of wishing for them to be gone. This poem is about acknowledging them and rising above them. And I wrote this, I'm trying to remember. It was after a rather traumatic event involving the police and a hospital. And I was so frightened. But in this particular experience, it was in College Station, they were so approachable and kind to me, and they made me realize I didn't have to be ashamed, and that I didn't have to pretend that my problems weren't there. So anyhow, it's a short poem, so I'm talking too much. Okay, this one is called The End of the Road. How softly we walk on this cobbled, crumbling stone, one foot leading another, lost in the unknown. Yet if we were together, the courage to peek beyond, we might still be delivered to our light as it dawns. So seek not deliverance from your darkness and pain, but instead push through and emerge once again. Yeah, and that one is called The End of the Road. I know the title is misleading. It makes it sound like you're at the end, and I thought I was, but with a little kindness, I pushed through. And I think it's important that one be able to accept things as they are and still survive and find a way to thrive with them. My heart is still going 1,000 miles an hour, so I apologize for the heavy breathing that makes me seem like I am a 90-year-old man. That's okay. You know what? I am a gingerfied 90-year-old man who likes to write poetry, and that's just what we're gonna go with. And thank you. I really don't know what I ever did to deserve the most incredible community in the world that you guys are. Mr. Chris built such a beautiful group of people, and before I met him, I did not believe that I deserved kindness, and I did not believe that I deserved friendship with people. And then this amazing man came into my life, and with him came this amazing group of people who told me that I was amazing, not despite what I live with, not in spite of what I lived with, but because of who I am living with it. And that was something that took me a long time to really put into my head and accept. But he was persistent, coming down again during a dark time and telling me that I deserved more than what I was allowing myself to experience in life. And it changed my perception for the better, I think. So, yes, okay. We're going to move on to another poem. And may you. This one, not so happy. This one is titled, I Am. It is about, it was me in a very dark place, obsessing on who I used to be. The fun guy that made ridiculous music videos, shirtless, hitting a punching bag, singing about being a man. Now you're a man, man. Okay, I'm gonna stop that real quick. But I was obsessing over that during what I thought was the only time in my life I would remember happiness and joy and being goofy. And that's what this poem is. It was me wallowing in a misery that I was creating myself by believing I could never enjoy life like I used to back then. So this poem is titled, I Am. I am a memory. Lift me in your arms and remember me for how I was before these shallow depths of silent cries christened countless cons of misery. I am a smile. Remember my story and reconcile. The boy who whispered and his anguished wails that weaved witchly warnings of blackened bile. I am a vicious and vanquished villain of no validity. I am a negative, a nameless narrator of not. I am nothing. That's kind of harsh, right? That's kind of being really harsh on yourself. And I know that a lot of you do that too. I know we all do it. And yes, we can all be our worst critics. But that does not give us the right to be bullies to ourselves and to strip ourselves of everything that makes us beautiful. That doesn't give us the right to do that, and I was doing that to myself. And I was creating, or I was feeding a problem that already existed by being so hard on myself that I could never be the man that I once was. And you know what? That guy back then, I think he was kind of a jerk sometimes. I think that he had a lot to learn. And he had a whole nother thing coming. He just didn't know it. But I've learned from all of that. And I think because of the experiences I've had since then, I am a better man for it. And I think we can all look back, and if we try hard enough, we can find the growth that we have made in spite of the horrors that we've experienced. I think that it is unfair to ourselves to ignore the growth we have simply because we miss what maybe we once were. Okay, I talk too much between the poems. I'm sure people want me to shut up and read the poems. So, that page goes. Okay, this next one was very specific. I wrote it recently. It's called Stay With Me. I wrote this while inside the mental health care facility that I was forcefully committed to. And this was recounting what I had done to myself that week and then that night. And I wanted to be honest with myself in this poem and to acknowledge what I did to myself when I was so lost. So I wrote this on my intake papers using a crayon because they won't give you a pencil in there. So I wrote this with a green crayon. It is titled Stay With Me. Let me make sure I got the right page that follows. Okay. Stay with me. I've imagined this night countless times as infinite moments sharing the same world. As my life flows over my arm, it rains into the ground, feeding the netherworld. I've poisoned my heart. It cries out in anguish as my breaths grow silent. My mind is racing. 34 years of memories play pictures and flash by, cold and violent. Now ghostly figures of wisping whispers approach and grab my weakened form. Stay with me, they say. Stay with me. But how can I when my spirit is deformed? Sharply they retort, stay with me. And a crushing blow shocks my eyes open, and there is light. Too bright and assaulting, I can see my life devoid of hope or strength. And I settle in for the long night. Stay with me. Stay with me. Stay with me, please. Yeah. So that one was called Stay With Me. And it was what one of the paramedics in the helicopter was yelling at me. I don't remember it, but coincidentally enough, my phone had been on and someone I had talking to had heard the whole thing, and something was happening in the helicopter and they were screaming at me to stay with them. And I did. I made it through that. That was a rough night. That was a really rough week. And I think it's important that I not forget it. And that I write it down so that I can remember that I didn't want that to happen, even though I did it. And watching your life flow out of you, that feeling of growing weak, and then the panic sets in. It's important to remember that. because I didn't want it. And I'm glad I wrote that poem when I did. I know it, I'm so sorry it may be triggering for anyone listening. Maybe some of these stories might be triggering, but I prefer honesty over pretending that things were different. So I hope that that poem speaks to someone, and that maybe it informs them that regret sets in real quick. Regret and fear, and that there's another side to it. I hope that speaks to someone. Okay. This next one is titled Constant Conflict. And this one, I was so frustrated at the time. It is quickly getting dark, and we're going to have a problem here because I don't have lights that shine on my face. Ugh. But, I was so overwhelmed and tired of constantly fighting myself. And I needed a way to put it out there that I could understand why I was feeling that way and behaving that way. So this poem is about the constant internal conflict I was experiencing at the time, and I was losing my grip a little bit, and I didn't know what else to do except write a poem about it to try and express it in a way that could be understood. Thank you, Mr. Chris. Okay, so this one is called Constant Conflict. This life of constant conflict, caught and held taut within lines of dispute, his nature fights his welfare. A millennia of contradiction. How can he live when life is but poisonous breaths of conscious despair? Now what of hope? These dreams ascend to hell and descend through laughing clouds of confinement. To climb this tower of vague promise and peace, he must abandon his powers and embrace refinement. How can he convey the loneliness and uncertainty of the solitary desolation wrought from heartache, where the moon is turned and her dark side a reminder of infinite nights to blanket daybreak? Abandon the thought that practiced mages may turn off the dark with your surrender, or graciously give freedom in exchange for stability and quiet splendor. Now, this poem actually kind of touched on the email that I sent Mr. Chris about my difficulty and my willingness to exchange my freedom for safety and stability. Oh, by the way, everyone overseas where it's midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., thank you so much for being here. You guys are amazing. I can't believe y'all stayed up this late just to hear me talk. Thank you. But that poem, I was at my wit's end on what to do. The struggle was too much. But I had experienced a terrible experience where I was forcefully committed to a VA mental health facility in Waco. We're talking dried paint peeling, dried vomit on the wall. They had a special room that was padded with a drain in the middle of the floor to go potty, and you were thrown in there with just the bottoms of a paper pants. This was men only. And if you disrupted or misbehave, that's where they sent you. And so I'm struggling if I should get help. But that particular memory and that particular experience is why I was having such a hard time embracing help at that time. And it's a shame that people are scared to ask for help because of past experiences that may have been terrible. And I empathize and feel all of you that have been through that. And it may not seem like it's possible or worth it to get over that fear and to request that help. But I will tell you from personal experience, if you're proactive about it and become your own advocate and do research on the facilities, you can find a place that provides what you need. And it's so worth it to get the right kind of help. I can't imagine where I would be a year and a half ago to now if I hadn't gotten that first step of help when Mr. Chris first met me. And I think it's important that you give yourself a shot and you give yourself a chance to get that help if you haven't before, because there are a lot of people in the world that want to support you in that decision. Okay, I'm gonna see what it's like if I turn on one of these backlights. Is that a little better? Can y'all see me better now? I'm gonna wait to see any answers, or if should I turn the light off, or is it better with the light on? Thank you, Jenna. Okay. So light stays on. Okay, good. I was scared that we would lose all light completely. Okay. Oh, y'all about to see me frustrated. This toy is meant for children. And it snaps off. And it should be easy to put back together, but by God, I have the hardest time putting it back together. I just can't. A child should be able to do this. It's a snap toy. It should snap. Aha! Victory is mine. I win this time. Okay. So I hope I explained that poem in a clear enough manner. By the way, if y'all grow tired of me talking and reading poems and want to move on to the Q&A, do not be afraid to tell me. I take rejection very well. And just kidding. I'm just kidding. Just let me know, because I love reading, and I'm so excited to share this with you guys that I could probably go on forever. But I'll just do a few more, and then we can move on. And these are all in the book. Okay, this next one is called They Are Glass. There was a particular time in my life, somewhat recently, where I thought there was going to be an opportunity to participate in something that I thought might help. And I was kind of coming out into the open with my family about things. And I won't say who, but I remember one of my family members picked me up from the Waco facility where I was able to sign myself out eventually. And they asked me why I was there. And I told them that I didn't really want to explain the particulars of why I was there. And she said, he or she had said, well, would you mind telling us what mental health issues you're facing? And I was nervous, but I felt that I would get good support. But then they broke in and said, just tell me it's not something stupid like schizophrenia. And That just shattered my hope that someone really close to me would receive me well with that news. And it made me feel terrible. And it delayed me seeking help and being open about things for months. And it's important that with mental health, you pay attention to your words. Words are really powerful. They have a profound effect on people, especially sensitive people, which I am. I'm a baby. I am a very sensitive person. And this poem kind of came about as a result of that. And it is called They Are Glass. I am but glass, a darkened reflection of misconception and forever smiles of feverish strain. I stand atop my mountain of loss, a lonely kingdom of growing regret, the world broken and stained. Heed not these cries of tortured deception. Their substitute joy will feast on your hopes, leaving you broken and chained. I see but glimpses as through a mirror of fictitious fog and whimsical ghosts that cannot be sustained. My past, my dreams, my loved are lost, beaten, bloody, and pained. Yes, okay, so that one was called They Are Glass, and it was about my hopes of support and understanding being shattered at the time. And it was a setback, and it did hurt. Eventually, that relationship was mended through some honest discussion. But whether you deal with mental health issues yourself or you have a family member that deals with mental health issues, I would just strongly suggest you be careful with your words. And don't belittle or, I can't think of the word. My brain has been starved of oxygen for too long. Invalidate what is happening to them by giving flippant definitions of illnesses you don't understand. Just be open-minded and open to learning more about it. Empathy. Yes, Dana Palma 97. Empathy. Okay, this next one is called All We Were. It's going to be very easy to tell what it's about. It's about a broken relationship that had lasted for years. And even though it's addressed like I'm speaking to someone else, I am really speaking to myself, because I blamed myself entirely for like 2.5 years. I refused to accept that being sick is not wrong or make you a bad person. So that's what this one is. All We Were. Hello, my dearest, lost and loved. I thought you'd gone for certain of, fallen, broken, shattered, stoned from unkept graves upon your bones, now and always overgrown, simply forever, you alone. Never forgotten, yet left behind, all we once were intertwined. A path of tombs together sown leads countless victims to unknowns. Scorched in hell, lives dethroned, sulfur, brimstone, yet still alone. How did you do it? Make me understand why you laid waste to every last strand, making you precious, a light to be shown, instead of buried, bygone, blotted, disowned, forever destined to shuffle and roam, not quite dead, but always alone. So that was about a dear relationship of mine that came to a screeching and horrifying halt. And I was asking myself, what did you do? What did you do to ruin this? How can you not get your thoughts under control and learn to not be sick? And this is a story as old as time with mental health, how we blame ourselves. I really believe so many of us blame ourselves for what we go through when we have no choice. And it isn't fair, and it's a hell of a disservice to our well-being that we accept responsibility and blame for everything without question. And when people will use your illness against you, when your dreams are misconstrued to be delusions, me writing a book, I was ignored like it was the most insane idea in the world that Daniel could focus enough and put forth enough effort to put together a book. It was considered a delusion, and so many people will use illnesses against those that live with them, and it's not fair. And I urge you not to let that seep in as a false truth to you, because your dreams are just as valid as anyone else's. Don't let people call them delusions. If you're worried, don't let people call you paranoid. You have every right to every emotion, every dream, every thought, every inspiration. You have a right to be human just as much as every other human. So try and remember that when people want to use your illness against you. Okay. This one's a weird poem. It's me talking to myself like a weirdo. And I often do this where I talk out loud to myself trying to figure something out that's bothering me. And so this poem is called Missings. Missing. Hello, Daniel. How are you? Well, day by day and in between, I stalk an elusive and silent dream. Now, what could it be that you stubbornly seek? Some magic spell to awaken your heart, or something instead you wish to depart? No, nothing like that. You're thinking too hard. It's something to cherish, something to hold, a relic of warmth that favors the bold. Hell, I've got it. So no cheating or retreating if I get this right. I'll start with reflections of black to your white. You said day, so night after night, wrapped in darkness you cope, wanting and waiting for that fucking hope. Sometimes you'll spend days in bed waiting for inspiration or hope to come to you, and waiting for a reason to get out of bed. But I can tell you from personal experience that those reasons aren't going to suddenly appear to you as you lay in bed. That hope is not going to reveal itself as you lay there in darkness, cutting yourself off from the routes that may lead to something positive. You do have to get up. It sucks and it hurts, but you have to get up. You have to get up and live, because it is only with living that you find reasons to live. And that is what that poem is about. And Italian brunette. A lot of people have been asking for a way to get the books autographed. I'm thinking about it. I'm calling my friend, my book manager, and I have started a discussion about ways that could be possible. So we're looking into it. Italian brunette. Yes. This next one really speaks to a paranoia of mine, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this. The feeling of being watched, judged, followed. I will often see shadows that seem to glide in my wake, and even people looking at me for holding friends like Becky here. And Becky's awesome. Becky is soft. Becky will slap you in the face if you insult her. And this poem is about those worries of people staring at you and watching you, and some having the guile to actually walk up to you and tell you to be an adult and lose the stuffed animal, which has happened on numerous occasions. I don't know why people feel the need to say that to someone. Okay, so, rightfully so, this poem is called They Stare. They stare, cold and insidious, bent ever on my destruction. Relentless, they stab and slash, a transition of my self-induction to this aching fever and gentle rawness of tormenting tenderness. A raging wound, bleeding unmotivated pain into a state of endlessness. False prophet, false face, they chant unknowingly his name. For though they mean to mock metal and maketh misery, they foolishly played his game. And now, through swirling squares of shaking circles, I see new and haunting chains of skulls in purple. Dancing up my scarred arms, these maps of terror show me the depths of which I sink and future hells to bear. That is purely a poem expressing the feelings I have when I am trapped in different levels of paranoia, and that can, if left unattended, can start morphing into different hallucinations. I have seen, again, trigger warning on some of these things I discuss. I've seen black lines flow up my arm in my veins, and they seem to create this map of destruction that I can follow. It's difficult to explain, but that was one of the exact motivations and inspirations for this poem. And those kind of things can be really difficult to handle, and so I hope this poem did justice to the terror of real and honest to God paranoia and fear. They're hard to live with, but they shouldn't be left unattended because they can morph into something much worse. I'm gonna take a sip of a drink because I talk too much. How is everybody doing so far? Anyone bored? I feel like I'm reading too much. Should I move on to questions and answers, or do y'all want to hear some more poems? I know it's my live stream, so I do what I want, but I would love your opinions right now. If I should do maybe just a few more poems. And Helen Bratt, yes, everyone stay hydrated. So what would you guys want right now? Just read some more? Is that what I'm getting? Okay. Okay. I will believe everybody that they're not bored with me yet. And I will read some more poems. I do not want to be rude and burp. So I'm swallowing it. I'm sorry. You'll start to notice that I just say whatever's happening. I'm like reading a narrator. Or I am like a narrator reading the most mundane things that are happening, like burping or scratching my nose. So I apologize in advance for that too. Okay, so next poem. This one is titled Our Ghostly Dance. I've actually done a reading with music with this one before. This one, I was questioning if I could lay bare the slate of my life and start over. I was wondering if I did start over, would my life take the same lines and same routes that it had before, or would I brave a new path? Would the ghost of my past determine where I would go, or would this be something in my control? So that's what this poem is. Okay. Our ghostly dance. Okay, there it is. This is the empty, a canvas of extraordinarily vacant meaning, idle and vain. We dance above, arms outstretched and hands held tight, as our ghosts circle oblivious to our pain. Does no one see the splashes of color that rain from our translucent ballet? Toes dip and tickle, leaving such beautiful, vibrant silhouettes that forever display the story of all and each to come. Bound by fate, our flickers and shimmers pirouette as one, and together they paint with perfect abandon until one falls and burns the sky, their dance finally done. So that was me in a internal discussion about, can I forge my own destiny and paint my own masterpiece, or am I going to shadow the dance of my past ghost that twirls around above me, that is always in me and will always be a part of me? And I hope that poem was able to convey the questions that I was asking, because they were burning questions, because I was scared that I would repeat the same cycle over and over again. And I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with, is that cycle of destruction that we just can't seem to break out of. And I want my answer to myself to be, I will paint what I damn well want, regardless of what my past tries to determine for me. And I hope that others are able to reach that same point where you decide that you deserve to paint with the brush of your own volition and your past doesn't decide what you do. Because God, I have so much shame and pain in my past that I will go through in a future video. But it's taken me a long time to decide I don't have to be defined by that. That I can paint what I damn well want. Okay. The next one. Oh, this one's dark. No, this one's so dark. Okay. Trigger warning in advance. This one's called False Faces of Trinity. And this was a night I sat on a bridge, 2 a.m. Trigger warning, again. And I thought that I would use the Holy Trinity of awfulness to ensure that I would not wake up in the morning. That would include cutting, swallowing, and jumping. I'm sorry, I know this is dark. Again, trigger warning. And the voices at the time, it was overwhelming. And I sat down, my back against the railing of that overpass bridge. I was on the grass section. And I decided that I was going to write for my life. That this was too intense of a moment to handle on my own, and I needed to put it down so I could read it and learn what I was going through. For me, at least, putting things down on paper, I get to read back through and actually process, holy crud, that's what I'm feeling. And that's what this was, because I was about to take awful steps. And this poem, as dark as it gets, it helped me get through that hour of darkness. And I wrote this, I read it 4 or 5 times, and I walked back down to my vehicle because I had gained a better understanding of what I was hearing and what I was feeling. Okay, so this one is called False Faces of Trinity. Climb higher, cut deeper, do more. Can you hear them? Whispers carried on a breeze, cold and senseless. How do you push on when you feel them tear through? Talons and claws stretched out from below. Deeper than dirt and beyond the draped curtains of darkness, they grab you, tearing through flesh in a blooded baptism of fire. You try to scream but are drowned out by laughter as angels drape a tear-stained noose around your neck. You are dying, bleeding out in a demon's pit of bubbling tar as winged blessings choke you in fits of delighted madness. So you try and fight, but how do you win without conviction? How do you persevere without strength? But your questions come too late. The time has come, and in this last desperate plea for help, you take your final breath. But your hands rise to your face against your will, forcing your mouth open, stretching it till it breaks and hangs low by its skin. And from your own shadows come all the doubts and pain. Standing before you, they grin and savor their victim with lust and a depraved hunger to feed you their fill. From their wicked hands, they pour a bitter chalk down your searing throat where it burns, butchers, and poisons everything you ever were. And so, in thoughts forever silenced, you become your dreaded wish. That dreaded wish was the false faces of that trinity that I believed would provide me release. But after reading the poem, I saw that all they were providing was terror and fear and pain. And that to listen to them was beyond folly. That I had a choice in the matter. I didn't have to allow them to drape a tear-stained noose around my neck. I didn't have to sit there on that bridge. I could stand up and walk down and get back in my car. And I know it sounds insane, but reading this really helped me see what I was thinking, and I could see how dangerous and dark it was. And that really provided me with the clarity to get out of there. And I would just urge others facing similar situations to write down what you're feeling, to write down what you're seeing and experiencing, and read it. And if you don't understand it the first time, read it again and again until you're able to have some clarity on what it is that you're going through and experiencing. Yes, so that one was called False Faces of Trinity. Now we're going to move on to a happy one, sort of. It's it's a love note, and that's what it's called, a love note. And it is written in love for love. And I'm really proud of this poem. It's not very long, but I could see so clearly, and I could feel the love that I was writing. And it was so real that I experienced it myself, and it was a really warm moment. Oh, how can I write so clear when I'm so confused? I still think that poem of False Faces of Trinity carries with it such incomprehensible confusion in it, and it's almost like it's blurred. I don't know how I was able to make any of it make sense, but that's just how I see the world. I see it in color, and I can't verbally express things adequately sometimes in a straightforward manner. I have to write it out in abstract form for it to make sense to me, because what I am seeing and what I am experiencing is so abstract and horrific and abnormal that to try and define it with standard words and sentences would be a terrible failure. And that, I think that's why I'm able to write clearly during those moments, is because I'm speaking of it abstractly as I'm experiencing something very abstract and difficult to express. Okay, but back to a love note. Happy. It's very short, but I'm really proud of it because it made me remember that I knew what love was and I was feeling it. Okay, so a love note. Is love but blind allegiance, or bonds of unspoken caliber? Fuck that up. Sorry, we're gonna start that one over. Okay. Is love but blind allegiance, or bonds of unspoken caliber? Wisp of forgotten moments painted with bones on boards of white. You are my beautifully perfect personal siren of infinite kindness, with no killing joke to foul the cure. And I, the luckiest man on earth, to be so privileged as to be loved by you and to love you. You are my everything. I love love. I love it. It is the best damn thing in the world. And friendship love, family love, I cherish those, but I adore love. I wish I could make fairy tales come true for everybody somehow. And I would jump into a fairy tale and live in it if I could. I know that's weird, and I know, again, it's cheesy, but there's just no defining love. It is undefinable. You can't put it in a box. It is so crazy and stupid and weird, and it's different and unique for every single human being on earth, and I think it's the most amazing thing in the world. So yeah, that one was called A Love Note. Okay, I'm gonna read, I think, just 2 more, and then we'll move into question and answering. I do have more than just 2 more that I could read, but I think we're moving in on time, and I know people got lives to live and places to go, and okay, so this one is called Mirrored Dreams. This was another moment of dreams being shattered. Unexpectedly, my life as I knew it was over within a 30-minute conversation, and I was broken, and you're not going to sense that from this poem, because this poem is about the happy part of that life. But it ends with acknowledging something that you didn't expect to happen. So, this poem is called Mirrored Dreams. I used to dream of what I'd found in every minute of wakeful sleep. A journey of such helpless wonder, still waters running ever deep. The dreams were not of what could be, nor aimless hopes of fractured fiction. They were instead my waking truth, seamless without confliction. How lucky then was I in life, days mirrored what dreams had meant, yet so foolish to have missed the sickness despairing descent. And I'm sure there are 1,000 million people in the world that can relate to having a life they thought was what they wanted and everything was going fine, and then something, regardless of what it is, upended everything that you knew, and suddenly you're like a toddler on the playground at a new school with no friends. And that poem was called Mirrored Dreams. Pan Cooney girl, I can't read your name, I'm sorry, but Mirrored Dreams. It's about my dreams of what I wanted my life to be were mirrored in real life. I was living my dream, and then so foolish to have missed the sickness despairing descent that I didn't see that the end was nigh, and everything that I thought I knew was going to be destroyed. And I know so many of you have lived through that before. Okay, so I actually think okay. But you know what? There's only 2 more poems, and they're both kind of short. So I'll just read these last 2. And that'll be it for poetry reading. So this first one, I wrote years and years and years and years and years ago. It's called Lay Beside Me. This one is about putting everything you have into something you believe to be so right. But, and this is where my BPD came in, the harder you try to hold on to something, the harder you want to squeeze it, the more it wants to be let go. And that is a lesson I learned, and that is what this poem is about. It was about me so scared of losing something that I squeezed it too hard. And I had a hard time understanding that I was making my nightmare come true. So, this one is called Lay Beside Me. Lay beside me, please stay till morning. These dark hours of loveless doubts were not meant to weather alone. I have not hope nor light for guidance, but in your presence I find in me a quiet strength I'd not known. I beg to love and wish for thee, yet dreams come masked with dark intent, ill shadows of severed bones. So wake not now, but rest till light. Let lashes kiss bare cheeks of rose under white sheets of precious stone. Still I fail, and reach to hold one desperate need to grasp and wrap tears open wounds that should have known. My dream spread wings, away had flown. My always failure, I am alone. So yeah, that poem was about learning to trust that what you are and who you are is enough. And you don't need to be extra for someone to appreciate you and love you for everything that you are. And it was a lesson I had to learn. And I'm not sure if any of you have experienced that before, but I think it's probably a lesson a lot of us learn, and it's a painful lesson, but an important one, to remember that you, as you are, is enough, and you don't need to be extra, and you don't need to obsess over the bad things that could happen, but instead enjoy the good things that are happening. Okay, last poem. I promise. I'm sorry, I'm still so nervous. I don't know why. Okay, so this one is called Royal in Red. It is about me trying to reach someone. This was written a long time ago. Trying to reach someone who had suddenly given me their backside. And desperate, I wrote it down in the best way that I could to try and explain what it felt like to see everything that had been built just unravel. And explaining that I would have done whatever was needed. So this one is called Royal in Red. Very short. I would have broken walls, gladly walk through stone, but you You built a fortress I could not scale and hid my redemption behind your throne. And so, my wounds continually bled, this unraveling thread of the strength rebred, crowned useless, royal, and red. And that's it. I think I have read every poem that I printed out to read. I didn't think I would read all of these. I just printed out a lot of them. Yeah, that was a lot of poems. And I can't say thank you enough for you guys sticking around this long. Y'all are incredible. That was an hour of just me reading. Honestly, I don't know what I ever did to deserve you guys in my life supporting me, and it's incredible. And I am so thankful to each of you and all of you sitting here listening to me read poems in a half-lit vehicle for an hour. You guys are awesome. And thank you so much for going out and getting that book. And when Mr. Chris sent me that info that it was #1 mental health book new release, it blew my mind. And I was so scared putting that book out, honestly. I was terrified that not a single person would purchase it. I didn't think that it deserved to be a book. And that's because for so long I had basically been told that it was a pointless delusion of mine. And how many times I've been told, no one wants to read your sad poems. Why don't you write something happy? People don't want to be depressed. And that would have been dishonest of me to write a book of happy poems that were empty and meant nothing. And so that you guys have embraced it and understood it and embraced me and understood me means the absolute world. It means everything. And you guys are simply amazing. And for getting that information out there to Mr. Chris, thank you so much. Without you, without that first meeting where we first met each other, I would not be here to have this book out there. And it is because of you, and it is because of your community that I am still here. And I don't say that lightly, I say that factually. It's a fact. And I am so thankful to you. So thank you so much, and thank you to the community so much. Okay, so we move on to the part that I am exceedingly scared of, and the Q&A. So, questions. Questions don't have to be about the book. They don't have to be about the poems. They can be about basically anything, although I will say, in regards to my past head injuries, to my time in the military, to that span of time where I slowly got sicker and sicker and sicker, I have an in-depth video coming out that will answer a lot of those questions. So if you could, try not to center your question on how did you get sick, or, you know, just, yeah, I'm not explaining that very well. But we'll start it now. I see a lot of people asking, when did I start writing poetry? And that I actually started writing poetry in high school to a girlfriend. So my freshman year I had a girlfriend, and I wrote a poem to her. And then sophomore year, I had a different girlfriend, and I wrote a completely different poem to her. But she was showing her friends, like, look, Daniel wrote me a poem. And my old girlfriend was in the group, and she's like, oh, well, he wrote me poems too. And it caused this entire huge thing where everyone was mad at me. And I was like, I don't understand. They're not the same poem. I just like to write poems. So my first efforts were love poems to try and make my special girlfriend feel special at the time in high school. And yeah, that's when I started writing, and I've been writing ever since. And there's been spaces in my life where I would go a year without writing a single poem, but then I would get back into it. And I would say over the last 5 years, I've been writing pretty continuously and dedicating a lot of my inspirations to writing it down. I don't sit down and decide to write a poem because I can't think of anything. I have to feel inspired, which is easy to feel inspired because there's so much around you in life that can hit upon something that has an emotional core inside of you. So that is how I usually write, is I feel inspired by something, a song, a vision, a person, experience, and that's how I write. A lot of people asking how old I am. I just turned 35. I am an old man. So yes, I am 35. Do I listen to NF music? Coincidentally, yes, I do. I really relate to a lot of his music. And shoot, I just saw something that might have been important. Alex Wingstyle, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Is there something I look forward to most days? Unfortunately, not really. Right now I am looking forward. I'm very excited and very nervous about that program in San Diego. It is a go. It is a definite. I've paid for the 3-day assessment, and the only reason I can go to this place and afford to is because of the people who have generously donated to pay for medical bills. So this is included in the medical bills, and I am looking forward to that. I am excited. It is a residential program. It's the real deal. Their sister location actually housed Britney Spears at one point. So it's a big place. It's the real deal, and I'm really scared, nervous, and excited. And they've done something really cool. I only have to pay for the first 2 months. After that, I can stay up to a year for free. That is unheard of. I know they've seen my interviews, and they're saying that's why they're doing it, is they believe I'm a good fit, and that they believe they can help, and they want me to get better, and that they really like me. But that is a lot of money that they're just getting rid of and allowing me to be there for free. So we're gonna see how that goes. I'm really excited about it. And so, no, I don't have things I look forward to when I wake up, but I do have something to look forward to now. Other than literature and poetry, what are some other areas you're interested in? Other than literature and poetry, what are some other things that I am interested in? I love playing music on my harmonica. Unfortunately, I don't have someone who plays guitar to where we can just jam out, but I love music. I've been sitting at the piano. I don't play piano, but I'm playing piano and composing some songs. And now actually I find a lot of purpose and joy in sharing my experience with people that you guys that show real interest, and I'm finding joy in being an advocate for the mental health community. I don't think I'm there yet. I'm still just this little tiny fish swimming in the ocean, but I want to make a difference, and I'm interested in changing some of the unfortunately negative conceptions and ideas of what mental illness is. So I am very interested in maybe doing more with that. Do I have a place where you could send letters and small gifts? Yes. On my Instagram bio info, there is an address there to a P.O. box that I do check, and I do receive letters and packages. So it's on my Instagram bio info area. It's something like 1764, P.O. Box 1764. But yeah, it's there for you if you want to find it. Do I like horror movies? It's Kim. Yes, I know it's strange. People ask me why I read Stephen King, that it's going to make my hallucinations worse. It's the same thing with horror movies. I enjoy horror movies, and I really enjoy Stephen King, reading him. And I know people think it'll only make things worse to my illness, but I know myself, and I read Stephen King because of what I experience. I don't experience things because I read Stephen King. I read him because he puts a lot of heart in what he writes, and I relate to a lot of the emotional fear that the characters feel, and that is why I read them and enjoy them. My favorite horror movie is actually James Wong. He did Insidious, and then he did another movie about a haunted house. I can't think of it, but that's my favorite horror movie. I hate that I can't think of it. Oh, okay, we'll move on from that. Do I like taking care of plants? Yes, I love building something beautiful with a garden and creating something that wasn't there before. The Conjuring. Thank you, Q Gun 98. That is my favorite horror movie, The Conjuring. Yes, it's my favorite. But yes, I very much enjoy gardening. I'm always nervous about how I write. When you write, do you just write your poems all at once with a single draft, or do you work on them over time? To answer your question, Mr. Dr. Professor Savage, I do both. Sometimes I just sit down and a poem gets written in 5 minutes and it's already a final draft. Other times I'll sit down and write it and then be like, shit, I didn't do it right. I need to fix it. And I'll work on it, and sometimes it'll take a few days. So I do both. Good question. Are you comfortable with people making drawings of you? Yes, some of them have been really beautiful. Good question. Has popularity affected you? Yes, 101 billion%. I have had to learn how to be comfortable with my phone. I've had to learn how to be comfortable with so many people knowing my name, people looking for me, looking at everything I've been in life, knowing my story before I tell them. Those have all been really hard parts of dealing with it. And it's been really difficult. That's why that first interview, I did not include my social media in that interview with Mr. Chris. But on the second one, I felt more comfortable including it. And it has absolutely affected me. And it feels like the bigger the numbers grow, the more insanely nervous I am to post anything. And I'm trying to get past that, because I do want to try and make some type of meaningful impact on myself and with the community. And the only way to do that is to swallow my fear. So yes, it's definitely affected me. Are there illustrations in the book? There is some of my own photography, and then some other pictures that aren't taken by me. What type of superpower would I want? Super speed. I think super speed. That would be mine. Do people recognize me in the street? No, God, no. Once in a million years. Strangely, it happened twice in one day at 2 different gas stations. But other than that, no. I'm still a really small fish, and I'm perfectly happy with that. Perfectly happy. Do I want to be a published writer? That is my dream. That is my absolute dream, is to be a published writer. And after 90 days, I actually get the publishing rights to my poetry book back. And the hope and the plan is to find a real publisher somewhere after we've proven that the book can sell, to find a real publisher to publish it in bookstores. What time is it at my place? It's 7:31 in the evening where I am at. So it's nice and dark. I don't understand what some of these things are happening on my screen. What does it mean when people sent me a request to be in my live video? I'm not sure what that means. Well, thank you for saying that it will happen for me. And of course, I broke my toy again. So, am I a night owl? Absolutely. I stay up till 3, 4 in the morning, and I just spend it reading or watching videos. And yes, I don't have a team, but I do have a person. It means we can join the live chat and talk to you. It would be like a FaceTime with you and them. They would share the screen. It's like a split screen. Do I text someone when I feel down? Oh, unfortunately, often I text someone when it's too late and I've made a mistake or I've messed up. But I do have 1 or 2 close friends. I do have 1 or 2 close friends. Another person will join and we can see both of you. Those are just requests. You don't have to do anything with it. Because that means people can feature in your video. What videos do you watch? Thank you for the congratulations. What videos do I watch? Educational videos, documentaries. That's usually what I'll listen to or watch. Do I have hope for the future? I do have hope for the future. I hope and I think this place has something to offer me. And I genuinely hope that I find a way to move forward, because I still struggle greatly with a lot of aspects of what I live with, and I can often be in really grave danger at times, and it's only like a small reason that I'm able to get past it and be safe again. So I want this place, I hope this place can help me with things like that. And does Do I have problems remember eating? Yes. I have gone like 3 days without eating a single meal, and a friend of mine reminded me to eat, and I ate, but I don't feel hungry ever. In fact, the act of chewing is sometimes really grotesque to me, and I don't want to participate in it, and it keeps me from eating anything. And it's definitely not healthy. I know you said you have schizophrenia and deal with the same thing. I don't know if it has anything to do with that. Yes, you can send me messages on Instagram, direct messages. Sometimes I read as many as I can, and every now and again I do respond. How do you chat with me without me feeling overwhelmed? The best way is just send a private message and then just wait to see if I read it. I get overwhelmed with when there's a whole bunch of messages coming in and I can't read them all, like what's happening right now. But I do appreciate the messages. Can I speak other languages? Barely. I served 18 months with a team of 7 Romanians for an intelligence gathering mission on sex trafficking and terrorist recruiting centers. And so I could speak Romanian actually quite well by the end of it. But now I am very limited as to what I am able to carry on a conversation with someone in Romanian. Thank you so much for those words of support. I really greatly appreciate them. Would I ever want to move out of the US? Absolutely. I'm open to live anywhere except for like the Saudi desert or something. But I think there's so many beautiful places out there to visit. Do you ever feel scared of getting better, almost as if part of who you are your issues? I have that problem and it worries me. I don't think I've had time to ponder that, honestly. I have just grown so tired of the status quo and the same destructive cycle that I find myself in constantly, that I have been fighting for and searching for and doing everything in my power to find a treatment that'll work for me, that I haven't even considered what life may be like when I have better control over things. I understand it's incurable. I know that. And I'm not looking to be cured. I am looking to have better management over my life and tools that'll help equip me with ways to fight back against different symptoms and different actions that I take based on frightening emotions or experiences. I want control of my life. Instead of being reactive, I want to be proactive and live my life in a healthy manner. That is what I've been fighting for. Yes, there are parts of my life I struggle with talking about. I have flashbacks, I have panic attacks, sleep paralysis and night terrors are a constant, and I hate them so much. I hate them, and they are awful. So yes, I experience all of those, and there are moments in my past that I find great difficulty in even imagining what it could be like to discuss. Thank you so much. And thank you for reminding me, I missed the name, that I only have to reveal what I feel comfortable revealing. And as important as it is for me to remember that, I would say each of you to remember that about yourselves. Because it's easy to tell others that you should only talk about what you're comfortable talking about, but we often forget to do that and respect ourselves that way. So I would remind all of us to do that for ourselves as well. Yes, Sparkle Vent, I completely agree with that. Sleep paralysis, it feels like you get bamboozled every time. Absolutely. Thank you, Marie. Okay, I will drink some more of my drink. Bye, Joseph. Oh no. Nope, there it goes. What was my favorite memory of the military? Just having those friends that you spent every moment with. That I was the younger one, because I joined at 17, went to basic at 18. First unit I was in, I was the new blood. Then a second unit I was in, I was the young one. So everyone was like a parental figure to me, and I had so much fun pulling pranks with them, and even some really tense missions. Something would happen that is just the most hilarious thing in the world to you at the time, as inappropriate as it may have seemed. And I cherish those memories because they meant a lot to me. Thank you for saying that. I have not been to Italy. And yes, I still have contacts with some of my friends from the Army. My favorite childhood TV show was Recess, because it was amazing, and I actually made my neighbors, kid friends with me, build me a small pyramid based on what they did in the show, using bricks and mud and straw. Do I have tips for unaccepting individuals that don't respond well to your mental illness? I've told a friend about my problems and they did not take it well. You cannot control how someone receives the information concerning your mental illness, how they act about it, how they behave about it, and what they say to you about it. You just don't have control. And the faster you accept that it's not your responsibility to make them be an adult and an empathetic individual about it, the better off you will be. I've struggled with that before, wanting them to understand and still love me the same way, but it's only going to hurt you if you try to squeeze them and keep them with you when they don't want to be there anymore, even if it's because they're not being an adult. If they're not showing empathy, that's not your fault, and you shouldn't hold that against yourself. You need to let them figure that out. At least that's what I've experienced. I am not an expert. I love Germany. I've been there before. Hohenfels, for the 2006 World Cup, actually. It was a great experience. I had a lot of fun. A favorite movie right now? I'm looking forward to, Godzilla. 2014 is my favorite Godzilla movie. Godzilla King of Monsters is my second favorite Godzilla movie. And now Godzilla vs. Kong I'm looking forward to, but I swear to the holy infinite gods of the Greek scriptures, if they have King Kong beat Godzilla, I will protest and revolt against all authorities in the United States, and I will form a fifth estate that is made specifically to correct such a horrendous action on that movie and director. Okay. Hey, no, Ben, no. Kong is not going to win. That's ridiculous. He's a monkey. He's a monkey fighting a fire-breathing dragon. How? No. unacceptable in every way possible. I refuse to even entertain the thought that a monkey's gonna beat a fire-breathing dragon. Any tips on how to trust people? I want love. I love love, but I'm scared of most men due to previous abuse and flashbacks. Therapy hasn't helped at all. Sweetie, I don't know if I have tips on trusting people. I would say set clear boundaries for what you are willing to accept from people, and stick by those boundaries. And don't be afraid to stick up for yourself if someone crosses those boundaries. Unfortunately, it's often the quiet, the meek, the ones who have been hurt before, the ones who are hurting, that unfortunately have to be the ones to be the loudest when it comes to advocating for their comfort and security and boundaries. It falls to you, and that sucks, and I'm sorry, and I've had to do that for myself, and so many times I let people storm over the boundary that I set up. But you have to do your best to stick to it, and over time you'll find the people that respect your boundaries and respect you, and hopefully you can build trust with them. I do not play video games. I'm sorry. Temporarily, Emily, you're probably right, but still, King Kong needs to lose. I did do a personality test. Aaron, if you're there, would you type out what my personality test results were? I know you know it by heart, probably. You remembered it, but I don't. So if you're there still, write out what the results were so that I can answer that kind individual's question. Something positive I've experienced recently. Allie, yes, mediator. I scored as the mediator in the I forgot the personality test's name, but yes, I was a mediator. That's what I ended up being. Thank you so much, Allie. You are amazing. I don't know what I was answering. Oh, something positive that I've experienced recently. Getting snowed in and trying to drive through that snow to go out west and getting stuck in the snow. Basically, for a bit there, it was kind of fun. It was a positive experience that I love snow, and so I got to experience it, even though it was way too much of it. Allie, 16 personalities test. Yes, that's what it was. Do you think the world needs to seek to eliminate pain, or how should the world seek to take pain with their hands and heal? I don't know. Pain is a part of being human. You can't get rid of it, unfortunately. And there are people who live life without physical pain, and their lives are hard as hell. So I don't know what life would be like to never feel emotional pain. I think that might be really difficult too. Am I more comfortable on live than I was earlier? Yes. When I started, I was very nervous. Now I'm nervous, but I'm okay. I'm nervous. I'm a little overwhelmed. I'll probably have to close this down soon. It's been I said like 2 hours max, and we're almost there, and that's a boundary for myself that I want to respect. So I'll probably be shutting this down pretty soon. Am I finishing my novel? Oh, my short story, fiction horror story. Yes, I am currently working on that, and I'm doing what I can to get it finished so that I can. There's a publishing company that has already expressed interest in publishing it, so I'm working on it to get it done quickly, but keeping it high quality. Thank y'all so much for understanding. You guys are amazing. I don't have a favorite music genre, except maybe I would say singer-songwriter, but I mean quality singer-songwriter, poetry writers like Bob Dylan and Joshua Radin and Joshua James and people like that. Yes, I am going to get some rest after this because it has been exhausting, although it's been really rewarding too. Okay, Genuine Goon, have a good one. Okay, so... Hi! Carrie! I'm so sorry I haven't been by Starbucks in a bit. You guys were always amazing though, and I'll get by there again, hopefully soon. I just haven't been in that area in a while, and I'm sorry because I miss you guys too. Y'all are always so sweet to me, and I really appreciated that. Okay, all right, I think we are going to bring this down to a close. I'm really sorry for those that may have just joined or anything like that, but I think I am ready to take a little time and wind down. But you guys have been the most amazing support group in the entire world, and I am so proud and honored that I got to read my poetry to you. And thank y'all for going out and buying the book and supporting me like that. It has been a really exciting, nervous, and rewarding experience, and I love you guys. Y'all bring me such happiness and strength, and it was only because I knew I would be talking to this community that I decided I could do a live video, and you guys have shown me that I was right to trust in that. So thank you so much, and I am forever grateful. And hopefully one day, relatively soon, I'll do another live video and we can figure out something else to do. You guys have been the most amazing people on the entire planet, and Becky says thank you, and I say thank you, and this is gonna be a memory that I hold with me and cherish, because it has been a really positive experience, and I'm probably gonna be smiling when I go to sleep tonight, and I don't get to smile often, so this has been perfect. Thank you so much, all of you. And I say, everyone keep up the good fight and keep on living. The only way to live is to try living. Yes, I will be posting a YouTube video relatively soon. I'm sorry, there's so much time in between those. Okay, guys. You guys have a wonderful night. Get some rest. Thank you for being here. I will never forget this experience and this moment. And it has been so rewarding. And you are all just beautiful individuals. So have a good night, okay? I'm going to say goodbye. And I'll see y'all again soon. Okay? Oh, Jennifer said, wait. What? Did I miss something? Did something? I'm gonna guess you were saying that to someone else. Not me. I'm gonna go. Thank you. Just holding my hand up like a weirdo. Thank all of you so much. Okay, guys? Y'all have a good night. I have to find the end button. I love y'all. Thank you. Alright. Bye.